Hello and welcome to Prairie Pulse. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we'll see a musical performance by Jessica Vines. But first, joining me now is Joseph McNeil Jr. From the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe. Joseph, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
As we get started, tell the folks a little bit about yourself and your background and where you're originally from.
I'm from Fort Yates, North Dakota, member of Standing Rock Sioux Tribe. I've been home for about 27 years. My mother was born in Little Eagle, South Dakota, south of McLaughlin, and that's our home reservation. I was raised, my mother and father met in Rapid City in the 60s, flew out to Dad's home, which was New York City and North Carolina, so that's where I spent most of my childhood, between New York, North Carolina, and would come home for the summers. Mm-hmm. I came back home to get my education at Sitting Bull College. Have a business administration degree through there, and worked at Prairie Knights Casino when it opened up. Took great advantage of that and worked for the tribe, the diabetes program, as a health educator and as a councilman at large, and currently am the president of Standing Rock Development Corporation, which is the business holding arm for the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe. We oversee 3 businesses for the tribe, that be welding, propane, and telecom ventures that we've been maintaining for the tribe.
Okay. Well, we're here to talk about a variety of things, but you mentioned your dad, and I'd like to ask you about, I understand he engaged in the famous Woolworth sit-in in the 1960 in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Right.
Can you tell us about that and what that was all about? And
Dad grew up a large part of his life between Wilmington, North Carolina and New York City. Reason for that was because the work in Wilmington wasn't that prevalent for, to earn, so my grandpa and my grandma would go back and forth to New York City, where we had other relatives living, and send money back for my father to live with my great grandma in North Carolina. So this route was ongoing throughout his life. He came up through school and high school and went to North Carolina A&T in Greensboro, North Carolina, and was in engineering student. And he had spent his summers back up in New York. Actually, it was Christmas back in New York, and then on the bus ride down in Virginia, he went to get a burger because he was hungry. He got off the bus, I'm gonna get a burger. So up in New York, things were equitable. If you had green, things were fair for the most part. As you move further south, of course, that changed. Everything was segregated again, and he was aware of this. But as a young man, he had grown tired of it pretty quickly. He was only 17 at the time. And he was told he had to go back of the house and get a burger. He said, well, he wasn't that hungry. So he got back to his dorm, and 3 other of his colleagues, 2 of them, actually one of them, Frank McCain, and him were real tight. David and Ezel, of course, were part of the group, but they would talk and try and strategize after this. It was pretty hot about, what are we going to do about this? Something has to be done about it. And realizing have raised a voice and came up aggressively, then their action would be squashed immediately and wouldn't even make the paper. So how would they do this in a nonviolent way to really make an impact, not just making the statement, but making an effort that would be followed further. Now, the Greensboro Woolworth sit-in was not the first one, but they realized that this had an impact. So following the methods like Mahatma Gandhi, and of course Martin Luther King was underway with his effort in a nonviolent protest, that was the method that they were going to use, and they were very tactful in how they proceeded to move forward in that. In discussions I've had with Dad the last couple years about this, they had a discussion amongst the 4. We're going to go into this. We might not come out of this. And this is a Woolworths 5 and dime. You remember that growing up, and with a lunch counter. And you wouldn't think of that going into a 5 and dime. You might not make it out. You might end up either assaulted heavily, treated with violence, in jail for a long period of time. And he was a student in school, and he was very aware that his parents would be highly upset with him if he got arrested. But this is something that he had to do. So each of them, the four, Dad, Joseph McNeil, David Richmond, Frank McCain, and Ezell Blair, would be responsible for their own actions. They had to own that when they went into there. And so they made sure that when they actually did that action that day, that they were customers first. So they went into the store, one bought a pencil, one bought a notebook, another bought 2 other small items. They each had receipts to show that you served me already. I am a customer in the store. So that couldn't be invalidated. And they went to proceed and sat down at the counter, the lunch counter. What was really impactful about this to them was halfway through the time sitting there in the afternoon, there was an elderly white woman that came up to them and tapped them on the shoulder, and she said to them, "I'm very disappointed in you." And they kind of shook and didn't know what to say. They really didn't say a lot that day. And she said, "I'm disappointed you boys didn't do this sooner." You know, so she had seen what she had wanted to see in her lifetime. And they were really emboldened by that. And police officer came and with a nightstick, you know, was beating it behind their head to intimidate them, but they didn't disrupt anything. They sat there quietly and asked for service and were told no, but they didn't get up because they were customers. So the store had closed. They had shut the counter down, and it was their time to leave, and this was a real impactful moment at that time because the photojournalist heard about this and ran down to Woolworths, and that's when he caught them coming out of the door. So technology, timing, did they plan this? No. It was an impactful moment for them, for their manhood, but it really sparked off what was going to become a national movement, not just in days and weeks and months to come, you know, but for years to come. It was a big large catalyst to have television and print be the Facebook and Twitter of today.
Yeah.
Back in the 60s.
Well, as you said, right there, the 60s were a tumultuous time that went on through there. Did your father engage in more activism in the 60s?
Afterwards. Afterwards. His job as a child was to learn, you know, go to school, get an education. My great-grandparents, not my great-grandparents, my grandparents grown up and had a hard way to come up. Had both worked hard doing vocational type jobs and then got their education through their work and, you know, raised up in salary and status later on. But Dad recounted to me that he grew up in a dirt floor, you know, so to be educated and to be able to provide for you and your own was really the focus of his juvenile life. And actually his career afterwards followed the same track. He spoke up and other activities, of course, continued the sit-in movement with the rest of the students that year and the years to come. But after he was done with school, he was in ROTC, Air Force ROTC. So, you know, he was 30 minutes after his graduation, he was in the Air Force and went to fly in Vietnam. And after that was done, he still remained in the reserves and went on to become, is it a major general, the 3-star general in the Air Force, U.S. Air Force Reserves, and ended up having command with the FAA over the Eastern Corridor of the United States and Europe.
What's he up to nowadays?
Retired. Yeah, chasing grandkids around. Yeah.
Good for him.
And he still talks quite a bit, particularly about that time in life, because it's still very prevalent today when people are being arrested on site and not being allowed to express what and why or be treated as equals in comparison to other members of the country's citizenry.
Okay. Well, let's turn to you now. You mentioned, what is it you do with the tribe?
I'm the president of Standing Rock Development Corporation. So we're our job is to not just maintain tribal businesses that we have, but to develop other tribal businesses within the boundaries and outside of the boundaries of the tribe. So currently we're developing a travel center C-store in McLaughlin, in that area, to take advantage of the truck traffic going through. AgTegra's making a big push through the states, you know that, through Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota. But we're going to serve our population. There's already a Cenex there, but We want to capture some of that dollar so that we can build up our own infrastructure and our own economy on the reservations. Usually our money goes out. We'll earn what we earn or get what we can get, and then it goes to either Mobridge, Bismarck, Mandan. But we need to capture that dollar so that we can have, build our economy on the reservations. And it's that desolate location, remoteness has made it difficult because we suffer brain drain just like every other rural community does. And I think everybody can be in touch with that if you have rural roots. That small towns have it tough, and you see a lot of small towns co-opting, their resources just to survive. So Development Corps really is working to tie these things together so that we can, of course, maintain, because that's home. We're not going to leave, our own home. We actually have sovereign boundaries. So to develop that for our kids' sake and further down the road is really the goal for Development Corps.
Mm-hmm. Well, I understand you were recently awarded the 2019 Bush Fellowship.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What was the process for that?
Let's go back a couple of years. I was speaking with folks from MIT had come out to visit us about what it is that they could do to help us develop our resources. And I was awarded a scholarship through them. And that led into being asked to apply for the Bush Fellowship. Originally, we were looking at renewable energy involving solar panels for our small communities. We have small communities sometimes of 50, 55 homes to maybe 75 homes, and then Fort Yates, I do believe, is over 200 homes. But we were looking to do community offset discounts for our membership, provided with philanthropy at the time that had come from after the DAPL protests or DAPL water fight that we had. We had a lot of attention, a lot of folks who wanted to help, but the resale rate, or the what is it called? It's escaping my mind right now. But there is a rate of return that local electric co-ops would buy their electricity for, and if I think it's 15 kilowatts or less, you have a high resale rate back. But if you're over 100 kilowatts, or if it thresholds 150 kilowatts, then you get a wholesale rate back. It just didn't make the project feasible. So from that idea to helping our people be able to afford wants and just needs, we do have had historically 45 to 50% unemployment rate on the reservations. So to help our people afford wants and just not needs, but a better quality of life, was really the goal of that project, and still is the goal. But my mind had turned from that, since it wasn't really feasible, to move to what can we do to provide a financial arm to not just educate, but give our folks a fair financial shake within our own boundaries, that where we understand one another. We're not going into a non-native situation like border town, and a lot of folks who don't go into banks or haven't gone into a bank and didn't understand what that's about, but are uncomfortable there. So why would they go? Historically, I shouldn't say historically, but moreover, a lot of our folks don't have checking accounts or savings accounts, et cetera, or retirement accounts due to the poverty, and didn't grow up that way per se. So a credit union came to mind, because a credit union, the membership, the dividend goes back to the people. And that really is our culture, is to take care of ourselves and our own people. So that's where the credit union came to mind. And that is what I put forward to the Bush Fellowship in that application process. And it grabbed a hold, and it, of course, is a fantastic idea. And that's where I'm going to direct my efforts to during this time, being a fellow, to develop my leadership. I will be pursuing a Master's of Business Administration at University of Mary, and possibly Sitting Bull College, to get my MBA so that I can better understand the world and communicate that, with my colleagues, with my community and my people, so that we can all move ahead. I'm no master of finance. I have a lot to learn, and so I could take that and just give it back out, and hopefully, they say the rising tides lifts all boats.
Well, good luck with that, and we may have to find out how it turns out. Talk about some of your activism over the years, and I don't know, did your dad inspire you? And I guess we should back up. What does it mean to be an activist?
I think the word is overblown.
Okay.
When you say a person is an activist, if you speak up for your own right and for justice for what you see as not being treated equitably or having an equal share or stake or an equal voice in arenas of either government, commerce, or religion per se, that was the foundations of what this country was built upon. The original Tea Party. But there's a lot more to that history that's not really expressed in common education. But that sense of standing up for what you believe is right is the fabric of the United States of America. And I think that's something that we need to recognize and respect in everyone, no matter what your shape, color, race, or creed, is that if you're speaking to the truth of what you believe is the truth, at least that respect should be given, and take the time to listen before we respond. We respond too quickly nowadays. We're quick to get our message out and trample the other's messages, being loud and to the point or either angry that we don't understand one another. So when you see your own individual or your family or your people's rights being squashed or being trampled upon, speaking about that to me is activism. If you do nothing, then you're cattle in the herd. You can go anywhere people to tell you to go. So, and that's my father. For him, when they made this stand, I shouldn't say the stand, when they sat down in Woolworths, for him it wasn't making a move to be a civil rights leader. For him, it was his manhood. Mm-hmm. And for me, and I do believe for everybody else, when you see something happen, of course, it's not so much that I'm going to be a part of a movement or spark a movement. I'm going to stand for what's right within me. Where's your moral compass?
Yeah. Well, I got just a couple more minutes here. What's life like on North Dakota reservations? How has it changed over the years?
I can speak to Standing Rock. I can't speak for all reservations.
That's fine.
I've been, like I said, home for 25 years. I didn't really grow up there to know what it was before, but for more of my life, it's home than it has been elsewhere. And I love it at home. It's tough. You have 45 to 50% unemployment there at Standing Rock, but everyone helps one another. You know one another. You know your neighbor. You know the communities. And I heard an analogy that, like in North Dakota, it's like one long street as you go from little town to little town to little town. And that sense of community is very strong, and it's strong amongst our people. You have a lot of different opinions. Some folks lean a little more towards constitutional government in our tribal politics. There's a large contingent that believe in traditional values, so there's a push and pull, there. Whether it's progress this way or progress that way, it's progress. And that discourse has made us really formidable amongst one another to move things forward.
Joseph, I'm sorry we're out of time. Where can people go if they want more information? StandingRock.org is a good place particularly for the tribe. But see somebody, say something, say hi. You never know how this conversation's going to go. It was good to talk to you. All right. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for more. Jessica Vines is a fresh talent who uniquely combines rock, pop, and jazz. She weaves thoughtful lyrics of everyday feelings into the bouncy beats of her original tunes. And suddenly, you find yourself wanting more. Her debut album, For a Night, was recently released, and she tours the region regularly.
Same thing. should be, wanting to hold on to all that you know, but tired of waiting for others to grow. When we are fighting for the same thing, we can change this if we try. It's too late to make this about you and I. Oh, oh. Waking to bad news day after day. People are dying and no one feels safe. Tomorrow looks dim until we find a way. Look in my eyes, understand what I say, 'cause we are fighting for the same thing. We can change this if we try. It's too late to make this about you and I. Oh, oh, we can change this if we try. It's too late to make this about you and I. Oh, oh. We can change this if we try. It's too late to make this about you and I. Oh, oh, we can change this if we try. Yeah, it's too late to make this about you and I. Oh, oh. So here we are, we're so far to go from the start. We had no way to know that we'd make mistakes that don't go away if time's all it takes. We chose not to wait, yeah, time's all it takes. But we were too late when we said we would never end up this way. But in order to make it through another day, I try my best, but it always feels the same. We said we would never end up this way. We close our eyes and pretend not to see all of the lies. I was starting to believe you let me down when I had to say no. I miss you around, but I get why you don't. I miss you around, but I know that you won't, 'cause we said we would never end up this way. But in order to make it through another day, I try my best, but it always feels the same. We said we would never end up this way. miss you around, but I know that you won't, 'cause we said we would never end up this way. But in order to make it through another day, I try my best, but it always feels the same. We said we would never end up this way.
Well, that's all we have on Prairie Pulse this week. And as always, thanks for watching.
Funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4, 2008. And by the members of Prairie Public.